Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. This week's episode, Aubrey and I are going to talk about, the Las Vegas Open that's going to be happening in 2025. We're getting close to that date, so I want to kind of just get a little bit of hype going for it, I guess. So, as always, joined by Aubrey. Aubrey, how is life treating you today?
Well, the 3D printer was working, and now it's not working, and I still haven't even had time to try and troubleshoot the other stuff I'm working on. But you know what? I'm here. I'm awake. I got all my chores done. My house is at least halfway clean.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
How are you
Yeah,
doing?
no,
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, like yesterday we ran for those who play MCP, there's a 4-player free for all version of MCP called Separation Anxiety. And we played Separation Anxiety yesterday. That was fun. We had 8 players that showed up. We ran 2 separate tables of Separation Anxiety. So basically what that is, for those that don't know, each person is play on the 3x3 map still. You bring 11 threat worth of characters, which basically is like 3 models that you bring. And there's 4 points that you have to go and interact with. Each point is a canister that contains symbiotes, and you score points for controlling that point. You also control a point for each symbiote that you have attached to you. So as you go and interact with these canisters, you get a symbiote, and there's 14 different symbiotes, 14 or 16 different symbiotes in the game, and you basically they're represented by a card. So as you interact with them, you reveal the top card of the symbiote deck, and then you have the powers of that symbiote. And then basically you get points for that and everything along those lines. And first person to 16 points wins. So we ended up playing like that, and it's a really fun game because, like I said, it's just a free for all and everything along those lines. Kind of just trying to sit there and beat up on everybody while still trying to win the game. So it's a very fun version. I really hope they bring some sort of a version of this to Shatterpoint at some point in time, because it is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to play Marvel Crisis Protocol. So I'm really hoping that they bring what I think is one of the best ways to play Marvel Crisis Protocol to Shatterpoint in some
So
way, shape, or
so
form.
so, dear listeners, for those of you who are only watch Star Wars over and over and over and have no idea what Todd's talking about, because I'm sure there's exactly one of you. It's just the dark side. You're getting taken over by the dark side, and you have more powers. I just wanted to make that joke. Anyway, moving on. No, we theory crafted. Remember, this was a few weeks
Yep.
back. We were at Imperial Outpost. We are talking to Steven and who else was there?
Alan was there too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. So we were theory crafting. We're working on this. Hey, AMG, we got ideas. You know, you put a squad in each corner. You put a squad in each corner of the map, and we gotta do something where you have to like play keep away. I don't know, some thing you're trying to get. Hey, it's a Star Wars thing. They've got fetch quests in there.
Yeah, like I think it was like the way I was looking at it, like maybe like you're trying to control like the holocrons or something like that. There's like, you don't know if they're Sith holocrons or Jedi holocrons, but you know they're these holocrons, and everybody's trying to sit there and get a hold of them for that knowledge or something like that. That was kind of where my thought was on the whole thing, was like it's like the fight for the holocrons or something. So no, but I think it's I really hope that there is something in the works for a version of this game, because I think it would be amazing to have something like that for Shatterpoint in general.
Oh,
Have you had a
it could be
chance?
the
Oh, go ahead. You,
it could be the Death Star plans too. You could totally
yeah,
do
you could
like
just,
everybody's trying to find the Death Star plans, or trying to find the map to find Luke Skywalker, or the map to Thrawn, or okay, sorry, I'll stop now. Yeah, there's lots of things you can get. There's lots
yeah.
of stuff you can get.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of like fun things you could do and fun ways to sit there and create like a very thematic game. And that's kind of like I said, what this is like, basically like a shield vehicle crashed in transit, and like all these canisters basically flew across the landscape, and you're trying to run around and gather them up, and each team has their own agenda as to why they want all of the different, and you can, think of your own storyline as to why your particular team wants it, whether you're the Avengers or the Cabal or whoever type of a thing. So it was funny, like our map had, like, let's see, where it was like 2 Avengers teams, there was a Web Warriors team, and a it had to have been like a sinister, the Sinister Six, like a Spider Foes team. The other table was every person was playing an X-Men team.
Hey, that happens
Like,
sometimes. I've read. I don't read a lot of X Men, but they seem to fight each other as much as they fight, the
yeah,
bigots who are like trying to get rid of mutants or whatever. So that
right.
tracks. That tracks. And no, this because we were just talking. What was it yesterday on Discord about, or maybe it was the day before, about learn to play events, and Matt was reminding everybody that. For a learn to play event, you don't even have to have two squads. You can just have one squad. And so this is also, I think, would be a fun way to maybe like, because sometimes with learn to play events, and it's okay, you get two or three people and you just give everybody a squad and you kind of do a
Hmm.
2v2 sort of situation. But again, this would be another way to introduce people to the game because now it's like, oh, you only need one squad to play. It's all right.
Yeah,
You just need one squad pack. Pick your favorite characters, grab that, and come play with us.
yeah. I mean, and that is very much how a lot of people get introduced to Marvel Crisis Protocol is through this game, because it's just a very good way to learn all of the mechanics of the game and how the game works and everything along those lines. So it's right, you're kind of right, spot on with like that analogy, because there is a lot of crossover like on how you can learn how to play these different games and everything like that. But yeah, so have you, I know you have been super busy. Have you had a chance to sit there and get any games in or anything like that this week?
No, I've been kind of working on the house more this time, trying to get things a little
Yep.
better situated. We're still like there's still a stack of boxes under the table that I'm talking to you all at. Like there's like we're the whole room over there is still full, but we're making baby steps, baby steps. We'll get there. How about you?
Yep.
Did you
I know
play
that
any
there's
Shatterpoint?
not this week. I could, like, unfortunately couldn't find any games this week like locally. There's been help working on building the community. Joey, one of our locals, he plays MCP a lot, and like he finally Tater actually, Hispanic Potato Izzy, he gave him a learning game the other day, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I like this game." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've been telling you it's a good game for a while now." So he's so he's finally like all in on it, and like since I have like that extra core box, I'm gonna give him like some of the stuff that I have out of that core box so that he can jump into the game and everything like that. So uh but yeah, looking forward to bringing more people into the community and everything along those lines. I do want to say before we go any farther though, super excited for all the guys over at Zion's Finest and the event that they ran this weekend, because they ran the Zi-Fi Invitational, which kind of throws me off because I guess it's like a open invite as far as invitational is concerned, because you don't really need to earn an invite to it. You just need to show up. So it's the Zi-Fi Open Invitational. But yeah, no, they had a
It's
like probably like the
it's exclusive, Todd, in that anyone can do it. That's how that works, right?
I think so. But no, they had the largest event in the United States outside of Adepticon, which is fantastic. They
Yeah.
had 28 players. I'm 100% convinced that it was rigged, because Kenny went 3-0 in the Swiss and then went 3-0 in the top 8 and ended up winning it. So I'm quite positive it's rigged. And not only that, but Sam was also the other 3-0 that played him in the finals. So definitely Zion's finest was rigged by Zion's finest. That I'm convinced of it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Hey,
congratulations to Kenny
it
on
was a
taking down that big event though.
it was a real event the same way that WWE is completely real and not fabricated at all.
Not fabricated at all. No, no, but it was that's awesome. That they had such a great turnout on the at the event. I was really rooting for Abby, one of our patrons, and she's like pretty active in our Discord as well. She ended up going 2-1, just missed the top cut. So I was in there watching. I'm like, come on, Abby, you got it. And they're like, but she had an early loss, so those early losses when you're only running a 3-round Swiss can really kind of hurt you, depend like on strength of schedule and stuff like that. So unfortunately, she missed it. She went 2-1 and missed the cut. But yeah, I mean, it's they initially looking at everything. It was supposed to be looking at their long shanks. It said it was going to be a 4-round Swiss with a cut to top 4, and I think they kind of just switched it up to get more people in top 8 or something.
Yeah, yeah, but that's a long. You were saying this just before we got on. That is a long event. Like
Yeah,
I, I don't know. I'd be tired. like
right.
and that actually makes it more impressive that to the winner, because that's a slog. I'd be getting stupid in that top eight, even if I made it.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, being able to like keep your concentration through 6 rounds, and they're all, 2 hour rounds. So six, like 12 hours of play, and just still being able to sit there, be like, okay, yeah, I can concentrate exactly on what I'm doing, and make the most optimal plays I mean, granted, I wasn't there. I don't know if there were mistakes made or anything along those lines, but talking with Kenny, knowing Kenny, I'm quite positive that he did well as it was anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully, I'm assuming very quickly we're gonna have an episode from them hearing about all the details. So I'm eagerly anticipating that.
Yeah, I am too. I don't like I said. I think Abby was wanting us to sit there and kind of like maybe talk about it a little bit. We will probably talk about their event. I don't want to jump down and talk about their event because it definitely is. That was their show. They definitely should have the ability to really talk about it and break down everything along those lines. So I don't want to go down that road. And we're not big stats guys anyway. I mean, there's going to be probably some of the better data that comes out of that one as far as data goes for metas. I mean, still it's going to be the Utah local meta, but they are a lot of competitive players up there because of Zion's finest. So I think the data will be really good, but I definitely don't want to jump in front of Kenny and all of the people at Zion's finest, all the guys over there, uh, and let them have their moment to talk about that for sure.
Right, especially since the only detail I'm gonna bring up is that Kenny brought Grievous, and we haven't seen Grievous at the top table because he's a little glass cannon, right? Like he hits hard,
Mm-hmm.
but then he gets hit hard, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting, Kenny. I want to know how this went down because I mean, you got Vader, Dooku, and Mother Talzin. Okay, the greatest hits, and then Mr. Coughboy. Like what?
Right.
All
Yeah,
right,
no,
let's see.
it'll be interesting to hear like what how it all played out and everything along those lines. So yeah, so but we were gonna sit there. I mean, our main idea that today was to talk about LVO and 2025 LVO, and there's a couple reasons kind of behind why I wanted to talk about that. The biggest reason is applications for LVO have been submitted to run events at this point in time. We are working directly with the LVOIS guys. So that's Tyson, who basically oversees a ton of games. Legion is now going to be part of the LVOIS system. MCP has been the LVOIS system for a while. He also oversees, I want to say it's Warcaster and War Machine as well. So Tyson has his hands on a lot of things when it comes to LVO, and the LVOIS system is very large. We're not going to be diving as far into the LVOIS system as, like, say, MCP is, and that there are qualifiers throughout the country for the invitational event at this point in time. We might get to that point. It kind of really is dictated upon how this year goes. I mean, unless I don't know, do you think that there's probably a different approach to that?
No, no, I think so. Again, everybody, let's calm down for a minute. We're just getting. Have we hit the second year of this game yet? It came out in June, right? So like are we still, or
It's
did it come
not a
out in
year old
May?
quite yet.
Right, right.
It was
This
June.
thing's
It
still
it came out in June 6th of last year.
all right. This thing's not even toddling yet. Like this is a baby.
Right.
like
Right.
let's run a good event in LVO, and then do some after action reports to see how it went, see how things, what we did good, what we could improve upon. Let's kick the tires on this thing, and then yeah, then we can move forward and maybe see if we about expanding it. Like that's baby steps, baby steps.
Correct. And for those that don't know, Las Vegas Open, the dates have been announced. It is going to be from January 16th to January 19th. It is going to be again at the Rio in Las Vegas. So that's just off the strip. It's on the other side of the freeway from the strip. So just on the west side of the freeway from the strip, basically. Um, but it's still really close. I mean, like all you do is walk over the bridge and you're on the strip if you really want to go. But I barely left the hotel when I was there last time at LVO, because you're gaming all day long. At least that's the hope that you're going to be, is gaming, maybe hanging out, having a couple drinks or something like that with everybody, doing the after hour stuff that you do. And that's the really cool part about it, is that there's just, the hangs that you have at LVO and everything along those lines. Seeing a bunch of people that maybe you don't see very often. It's like, I know I met Kenny and all the guys from Zion's Finest last year, and you just meet new people and get to hang out with all sorts of really great people and meet everybody else in the community and everything along those lines. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. I mean, are you starting to get a little bit hyped for it, Aubrey?
I'm the kind of person where I don't get the like the deep in your chest or gut, like I'm ready to go until I'm on the car ride there. Like but I'm excited. I'm just excited because, like, at a general sense, because I really think we're gonna pull off a good series of events, because this is like my thing is, now that I live here in Arizona. When I lived in Nevada, Vegas was really far away from Reno, and people don't realize that. Now that I live in Phoenix, Phoenix area, Vegas is right there. It's only like four
Yeah.
and a half hours, and so I'm
If you're
just
driving
excited that
slow,
I'm.
I mean, I can get there in like less than 4 easy. What are you talking about? 4.5 hours.
Sorry, some of us would like to make it to our fun anyway.
I have
Uh,
never been in an accident on the way to Vegas, knock on wood. So
in any event, I've had a lot of fun, like going to Vegas and going to a nerd event, like playing in Magic tournaments and things like that. I know that's silly. Like, everybody's like, you go to Vegas to do nerd stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I like to do. Like, come on,
yeah,
like so I'm just excited that we got an event. We're gonna go to Vegas. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be great. And then once we're closer, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a lot. All right, I'm
yeah.
ready.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot. I think we're gonna have a good time, though. I think it's gonna be fun. But yeah, so those are the dates. I know right now the hotel bookings, for if you want to try and get like the deals that they have over at the Rio, they are open there, so you can definitely go through the Frontline Gaming website. In order to do that, I'll make sure I put links for that into the show notes and everything along those lines for this, because a lot of stuff through Frontline Gaming, tickets are not on sale at this point in time. I would assume the estimated date is going to be sometime in June, so I would assume that we're going to be you should start seeing those. I will recommend, if you are planning to go to LVO, we are going to be capped at 64 players. I mean, like we're getting started. We're coming in. We're having to get all of the terrain printed. I'm painting it myself. I know I'll get other people to help out at some point in time, but we're doing a lot of the painting of the terrain and everything along those lines. So it's not something that we're going to be able to sit there and expand probably above that 64. So if you want to go to LVO and you want to play at the Shatterpoint there, I would highly recommend getting those tickets as soon as you can. So because it's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to sell out. I mean, that will have a good showing for all of us, and for the future of Shatterpoint, if we're able to sit there and get close to sold out at least.
Right. 32 tables of terrain is a lot. And like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, 3 printers kind of rough. I mean, Tyson is helping us with this, which thank you, Tyson. But
Yes.
but it's a lot of terrain. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah. No, I usually pull out like a table's worth of terrain for every session, and just go to town, spray paint and all of it, and then bring it in piece by piece and do some do the highlight work. My daughter is finally out of her school, will be over next week. She did all of her cheerleader tryouts, but granted, that means she's got cheerleader camp and dance camps and all that stuff over the summer. But she's going to be helping me doing some of the painting for the terrain and everything along those lines. So, because like I've been working on these and everything along those lines, but she's gonna go and do
Mhm.
some of the highlight work and stuff, because she does do painting as well. She's been in done some of like the painting competitions at our different LGSs and stuff like that. So she's got a good hand for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm
But I can blame her if it turns out bad. I'll be like, oh, my daughter painted that one. So that wasn't me. No, it was my daughter.
Hey, I mean, I threw the rest of my family under the bus when I was slapping together terrain, trying to get something to send up to you, and they did a They did an ADHD job. It's fine.
Eh,
It's
it
fine.
happens. It happens. But like, and that's I think kind of a good segue into like why we're doing this. So like last year they didn't the game came out too late for LVO to actually have anyone put together an official event. And the guys over at Fury or Fury or not Fury's Finest, that's an MCP podcast. I
Diff-
don't know why my brain was there.
different.
At
Your
Zion's
wires are
Finest,
crossed.
where they are at Zion's Finest, they tried to put together like an after hours event. And or at least help get something together, and it just didn't go well. It wasn't like a actual event. There really wasn't prize support, I think, for it. It was more just, hey, show up and play some casual games type of a thing, which is fine. But I think there was an expectation that it was going to be something different than what it actually was, and that was, I think, the bigger problem with everything. So seeing the issue, I mean, and I kind of went up and just started talking to Tyson about, hey, what do you think? Do you think you can help with this? And he was more than willing to, as long as he didn't have to sit there and do the heavy lifting at the day, like at LVO itself, because he's got his hands in so many different pies that it was too difficult for him to sit there and do it. I'm like, well, let me see how Aubrey's game to do this, and we'll make a run at it. And you were game for it, so we'll make a run for it. I mean, if it hopefully it'll turn out well. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, so again, everybody, backgrounds for those listeners. Most of you hopefully know this already, but Todd is basically holding up like Atlas the entire MCP series here in Arizona, which is a multi-store multi-region if we count in, you go down to Tucson, right? Remember, like
I do
this is like
Tucson, two
mul
events in
yeah,
Tucson.
yeah, multi-region events. And yeah, I know some people help you, Todd, but let's be real, a lot of that weight's right there on those big burly shoulders of yours. And so good, that's good. And then a lot of people don't realize, as a librarian now, I don't run at the scale that Todd does, but I run events every week. Like, they're very small, they're mostly for children, but like I understand how to run events in theory. You just got to scale them up bigger. So between the two of us, we have we have some experience with this. And I will it will be an event at the very least. It will not be an afterthought.
Yeah, no, it's not an afterthought.
Like, come on.
We're we are putting thought into it. I mean, I will say, yeah, yes, I do quite a bit when it comes to MCP. There are quite a bit of people that help out with it as well, though, like between the stores and other admins within our area and everything along those lines. So I wouldn't say I'm the only one, but yes, we definitely there is quite a bit that goes into that. So, but no, I'm excited for it. So I kind of wanted to give a little taste to everybody about what the events that we're going to be running. So the dates again are from the 16th to the 19th. Thursday is kind of just an open day. There's not really going to be any scheduled gaming happening on that first day. That's when most of the setup's going to be happening. Probably the vendor hall is going to be opening, I would assume, at that point in time, so people can get in there, because that's kind of like the big thing is getting into the vendor hall and doing it. Like last year, the vendor hall, like Baron of Dice, man, you could not get they were just jam packed all the time because like they with all their dice there. Monument Hobbies, I would assume, is going to be up there again doing what they do, because Monument Hobbies, they're local to here in Arizona, so
I
it's
I
not
gotta
difficult
get
for
over
them to
their
drive up
store.
there. It's a good store. It's small and out of the
Yeah.
way. You'll miss it if you don't really if you're not looking for it. But it's because it's not on a major road. It's kind of like off of a major road. So it's interesting to like you just I like the first time I saw it, I was driving past. I'm like, huh, that looks like the Monument Hobbies logo, and I was like, that is their store. It was one of the funniest things. So it's because it's right next to the VA hospital, and it's on a side road kind of. So yeah, no, but they'll probably be up there. Of course, Frontline Gaming has a lot of their stuff that they sell and everything along those lines. So there's a lot of different vendors that are up there selling different things and all sorts of different fun stuff, like the Duncan Rhodes and his paint were up there too. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So looking at the schedule on their website, so early registration and check-in on Thursday starts at 4 p.m. and that's also when the exhibitor hall opens, when everything opens to the public. So yeah, Thursday doesn't even start until 4 p.m. So that's it's not really a game day, although things will be set up and going.
Yeah, because we'll be there working, setting up, and getting hopefully getting all of the tables ready to go, so that when the doors open at that point in time, everyone can come in and kind of look around. Because it's really cool. I mean, going in and being able to walk around and look at and see like all the different table setups. Like the Warhammer room is gigantic. The 40K room is just ginormous. And all the tables set up for that, like the Legion terrain that they had on their tables last year was amazing. So there's a lot of really cool things to see and everything along those. And I think hopefully we're going to start getting like all of the AMG games kind of consolidated into one room. That would be really cool. I don't know if that's actually on the plan to happen, but I'm hoping that like all of the AMG games kind of start getting kind of co-located into one room, because we were all in the room that we were in was big enough for that for sure. I don't know if that's a plan, like logistically that's way outside of our what we do, but it would be really cool if like all the AMG games are kind of in one area.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just gonna
But
be
oh,
excited to
good.
see some of those vendors too, because like one of the playmats I have is an FLG playmat, and then seeing what Baron of Dice brings this year, because I know Baron of Dice does some Shatterpoint stuff too, so like we're there's
They do.
there's gonna be some cool stuff to look at.
They were definitely will. Yeah. So there'll be some really good stuff. So jumping into the events, we're going to run three different events, one each day. Is the plan anyway. The first day is going to be a little bit more on the casual side because it's Friday. Everyone's kind of getting in. Some people might all just fly in Thursday night or even Friday morning, depending. So you might some people might not be there in time. It kind of just depends on people's schedule and stuff like that. So what we're planning on doing is very similar to the event that they had at Adepticon, which is the Frenemies event. So you just bring your two squads, and it's basically one squad will be either Galactic Republic, Galactic Empire, Rebel. Was it Rebel Alliance? Whatever, the rebel
Yeah, it
scum
was.
that they are.
Oh, wow. I see how it is. I see how it is. Yeah, it was the four, like it was the four major tags. It was separatist, Rebel Alliance, Empire, and Galactic Republic, right? And then I
Correct.
think they
Yeah.
added in I think they added in Ewoks because they realized, oh, we don't have enough Rebel Alliance to actually, or no, that was the other one. The when you all had to, your both of you had to have the same one or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
On the
moving
Best
on.
Buds one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
so
one.
I think this one, I mean, especially now, there's going to be a lot more in the way of the Rebel Alliance to sit there and make a really good fleshed out squad on that side of it, because that was one of the things looking at it. There just wasn't a lot of Rebel Alliance by the time Adepticon happened for this to have like some really good unique squads. And I think now it's at a point where I think we're going to be able to sit there and have that. And of course, we're still fleshing out the rules. I would say that if you're familiar with what Adepticon ran, it's going to be very similar to that. Um, my goal, and I got to sit there and see how if we can sit there and do that, is to have the events on clocks. I know that's not a typical AMG way of doing things, but after seeing how things went to time and everything at Adepticon, I would prefer to have our events on clock. I because I'm not going to sit there and babysit people and make sure that people are utilizing the times equally and everything along those lines. That's not what I think a judge's role is. I think people are grown adults and should be able to sit there and play the game at a as adults would play the game, and not sit there and milk clocks. I'm sorry. I will sit. I'm being blunt. I'm sorry, but it's like there are people that milk the clocks and sit there and try and clock people, and I think that's ridiculous in my opinion. And um, so yeah, if we have to, so we might have to utilize clocks so that people are not going to take away from other people's ability to play the game and try and game, not actually win the game by playing the game, but win the game by taking up too much time and things along those lines. So sorry, a little bit of a rant there, but that's kind of like my soapbox. And we don't have a big problem like that, like within our community. People play at a reasonable pace, and they are able to play at a reasonable pace, and they respect the people that they're playing with. They don't want to sit there and just, I'm going to win by just sitting here and now and watching the clocks tick by. So
No, 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 no. It just removes ambiguity. All right. So, story time with Aubrey for a minute. I was a control player in Magic, which means I had a lot of decision trees to make, and so I would play relatively slowly. But you know what where I really liked playing Magic was on their old legacy program called Magic Online. It looks like it was built in the 90s because I'm pretty sure it was and they still haven't updated it. But the one
if not the
feature they
80s, yeah.
had. Oh, the game didn't exist in the 80s, Todd. Come on. Anyway, uh, but yeah, it does actually look like it was built in the 80s, which is a separate problem. Uh, but anyway, one of the features of that I thought I've always liked, even though I'm the one who tends to take more time than other people, is that yeah, you had a clock. Everybody each a round of Magic is 50 minutes. You're each given 25 and 25. Your clock would count down. And yeah, there would be weird scenarios because it's an online play where people would play against the clock and try to run down time and stuff, but that's just because it was online. But the idea was is I never had to complain or be complained at if I took more time. If I beat you in my 25 minutes, what does it matter that I took 10 more minutes than you? I did it within my half of the time. And you know what? That's your problem if you couldn't beat me. I did it in 25 minutes. What's your problem?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's kind of the idea of everything, is that we want to make sure that there's a level of fairness there. And I guess that kind of rolls into a broader discussion of rules. I mean, like, this is, we were discussing on our in our Discord about like some of the ambiguity of the rules that AMG has for this game, and that goes to the sportsmanship of everything. So it's funny, like, you look at the terrain and the terrain rules that they have, like, what can you get pushed through and what can't you get pushed through. If the piece of terrain that is on the table is not larger than size 2, it is completely objective between the two players whether you can be shoved, pulled, pushed through that piece of terrain. There's like, and that's a decision that's made between the players, and that's something that I guess that players need to realize going into this game, is that there is a level of ambiguity in some of the rules that you as players need to work between one another and with one another to sit there and discuss what's going to be happening, as far as table interactions and things along those lines.
Right, and this is one of these things where, again, I know my most of my experience comes from Magic, and in Magic, what they actually had was tiers of rules enforcement. And there was 3 tiers. They didn't even use the third tier very often, but the first 2 tiers, one was basically for casual events at your local your local friendly local game store, and most of those rules were very much, oh, you messed up there, I'll fix it for you and let's move on and keep having fun. Then there was the
Hmm.
second layer, which was very strict. Suddenly you're very strict. There's a whole separate rules document that you just used for the second level of tournament play. And then the third level was just for like worlds and like they you I've never played under the third rule set because I'm not that good. Todd, you went to the Pro Tour once. You played.
Yes.
Do they do the? You played under the third rule set, right? Like
Yeah, well, it's super super strict. Yeah, where it's basically
right?
like, if you need to know the rules better than the judges, or else there's something wrong with you, type of a thing. It's like, you better understand, like, you should be a judge, basically. Like, you should have the knowledge of a judge if you're playing at that level, is kind of the expectation.
Yeah, and so and the reason I bring this up is just AMG has chosen not to do that, which is fine. That's theirs. They have chosen very much to write the rules catering towards the most likely scenario of which you're going to play Shatterpoint, which is at your friendly LGS. And so the rules enforcement that they have is very much a collaboration between you and your opponent. This is a game. We're not going to war for real, despite war being in the name of the title. Yeah, like beating up your opponent would definitely win you the game, right? But
Right.
that's not what we're here for. We are here
Exactly.
to we are here to come together to a conclusion. Yes, it's a competitive game, but the rules are written where there's decisions you have to make every time you play Shatterpoint, and the biggest example is what we're talking about is with terrain. Is that terrain piece a terrain feature, or is it a separate set of terrain? And that there are two answers to that question, and that is
Yeah.
basically up to you. So talk to your opponent.
Yeah. And there's, like I said, I mean, there I will definitely be having a players meeting before the event starts, so that people understand it is your responsibility as a player to have these conversations and to make sure that you are doing all of those things. That said, I'm a big proponent of sportsmanship and fair play, and I believe that people should be playing fairly. If there is instances where someone is cheating, such as you roll the dice, and before you get a chance, your opponent gets a chance to look at it, you go and pick up the dice and go, "Oh, I had this." I don't like that. I like you're there. It's deception. Even if you were correct in saying that, and you are not. There's the idea that you could have been your opponent could have been deceived. It's just not good. So it's one of those where it's just things where it's like, be a good sportsman. Don't give anyone the opportunity to think that you might have cheated them, because even if you give them the opportunity, it creates a bad scenario. So that is something that I would definitely will be aware of as the event goes on and everything along those lines. And if that happens, I mean, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. We can go outside and talk about it, and take it offline. I'm not the type of person that's going to embarrass somebody, at least not the first time. But if something like that continues to happen, I can get loud and obnoxious. I mean, I usually will be very calm and take, and I will have the conversation offline and everything along those lines. But again, it's one of those where I want to make sure that everyone's having fun at this event, and people don't have fun when they're playing against someone who they in even if it, like I said, even if it's not true, if they feel that they have been wronged, it becomes an unfun event. And that's, people are paying money to come here and play a game, and I don't want them to walk away from the event being like, man, I spent all this money to go to Vegas and play this game, and some dude decided to cheat against me.
And and again, not to like beat my drum to death, but this is just communication. You roll your dice and you go, "Oh, I have a crit, two strikes, an expertise, and a fail." Your opponent should say back to you, "I've got three blocks, an expertise, and a fail." Then you modify your dice. Don't talk communicate you have to communicate the whole time, or you're not going to have a good result. Like these games are complicated. They're three-dimensional. I'm still wrapping my brain around it a year later. It's super easy. Like, you bump models, you bump terrain. You've got to communicate the entire time, which I get it. Communication can be hard sometimes, but that's I'm sorry, but that's what you signed up for. If you're playing this game, you signed up for being a good showing good sportsmanship and talking to your opponent. Like, we
Mm,
got solitaire for you if you don't want to talk to anybody.
right. Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's like, it's all about having fun, being engaging with the community. I mean, that's a big part of why we do this, is so that we have a fun place to play a game. Yes, it's going to be competitive, but people enjoy competitive. In the competitive sense, there's a reason why events like LVO and Adepticon are so big, is because people enjoy that competitive nature of it. But at the same time, you want a fair competitive event, and that's the biggest piece that I'm looking for anyway. So that's us on our soapbox anyway.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'll say is, and I don't know, man, I get. I can step out of my shoes and put myself in the shoes of the people who always want to win, because I have been the salty Magic player where I'm mad because I felt like I deserved to win. I've been playing that game a long time in my 20s. I feel you, but now I'm like, okay, I want to win because we had a good game and it was interactive and we had some back and forth, and then there was like this key moment where, you or I pulled off this awesome thing, and then that's how the game was decided. I don't want the game to be decided because you fiddled with your dice and now I don't know what happened, and now I'm sitting here going, well, did you do something cool or did you do something not so cool? Come
Yeah.
on, no. Like, this is supposed to be epic, fun battle, Star Wars, lightsabers, not Jabba the Hutt, drooling all over the place. I don't know. I might have lost my metaphor there.
Yeah, you kind of went off the rails a little bit, but that's all right. I'll allow it. So no, I mean, but that's kind of where we're at with it. I mean, and I think as I'm sure you people like, if you come to LVO, you'll hear the speech again and everything along those lines. But that's basically kind of like what we want to make sure that people understand that, this is a fun game. We want you to have fun, but we want you to be good sports. When you at any event that you go to, whether it's just playing at your LGS, if you're running like if there's an 8-player team event there, you want to sit there and be a good sportsman. So anyway, so going on, that's going to be Friday is are the frenemies event. Saturday is going to be the quote unquote main event, at least the start of it. So that'll be the 64 player and up to 64 players, depending on how many people sign up and show up. But that will be the main event. That will be basically 4 rounds of Swiss, is what we're looking at. 5 rounds is rough. And I don't, one is going to be Saturday at Vegas. So you probably were having a good night Friday night. You're not going to be getting up too super early to play this. So I'm assuming, it's going to be about a 10 o'clock start, is what I'm assuming.
Mm.
So
I
probably about
I
there.
do
We'll do
not
four
want to.
rounds.
In Vegas, I do not want to do the start at 8:30 thing. Like,
No.
oh, that was like, I had a lot of fun on Adepticon, but I think the least amount of fun I had was running down there to be ready at 8 o'clock for that event. Like, whew. But I'm not a
Yeah.
morning person. Todd's been
No,
up
you are not.
for like 4 hours, and I'm like still asleep
Yeah, I
over
just
here. I
automatically
got my
wake up at
coffee.
4:30 or 5:30 every morning. Yeah. Yeah. So no, so I mean, but so we'll be looking at like probably a 4 rounder is what I'm saying, especially because you got 2 hours, and I don't want to sit there. I want to give people a chance to sit there and have like a little bit of time in between each round. So it'll be 4 rounds, 2 hours, probably a good half hour in between each round, so people have a chance to sit there and take a breather, take 15 minutes to sit there and get your mind right before you go in the next round and everything along those lines, because that's important to just have a little bit of time to sit there and be like, okay, and not just run from next round to next round. And then after those 4 rounds, we will cut to a top 8, and that top 8 will be playing um, on Sunday for the event there. So that's basically it. But that's going to be the standard or premier event. Basically, it'll be Premier Showdown. So bringing your 4 squads, having to play all of the 4 squads before the top cut. By the last round, you need to have, or at the end of the last round, play at least all 4 of your squads.
Yep,
So
yep. And
pretty
and
standard,
I think
straightforward
that's,
stuff there.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that's I think that is what AMG wants as like the main event at each of these. A Premier Showdown, 2 days, top eights on the second day, no notes.
Exactly. And then the last day, we're looking at doing the 2-player team event. Like, so basically, for those that don't make the top 8, a more of a casual, fun event with just you and one other person. You team up, and basically, it's basically kind of the same as the LVO or the Adepticon style, where it was like each person has one squad. You bring your 4 squads. It'll be a 4 rounder again, probably maybe 3 rounds. It's Sunday. Some people like to cut out early on Sundays, so we'll see. We'll play around with the numbers. It might be 3, it might be 4 rounds, because I think this is going to be more on the casual side of things anyway. Like I said, a lot of people cut out early on Sundays. They're not going to play in a full event. They're gonna get in it over to the Las Vegas airport and gamble while they wait for their planes. So
Yeah. I'm thinking 3 rounds, and since we're doing this live, Todd, are we gonna do that like each rat like no what was it? No combination of squad pairing can be repeated. We just gonna nix that part. Remember
I
on
think we'll
the
just nix that part.
yeah, because it created a little bit of confusion. I mean, this is the first time we've done any of these events, right? So we're kind
Yeah.
of figuring stuff out on the fly. But basically, the idea is that again, that team event used the same Premier Showdown rules. Um, so you are going to be switching squads, but then like again, what I have said over and over, I actually think Shatterpoint should do this more. Is you have these 2v2s and like each of you is in charge of a squad, so you flip over your card and you're like, okay, I'm going with this unit. And then of course you talk with your teammate about what you're doing, no big deal. But if you have not tried this, oh, I think it's a lot of fun. Again, when Todd taught me how to play, I was playing with my stepson, and I know I've told this story on the podcast before, but yeah, you probably don't remember. And so like it was like a 2v1, like arch enemy style. Like Todd was playing both of his squads, but Perrin and I were playing one squad each, and it was fun. Like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Having a teammate's fun.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, there's other ways of doing it, and I know going back to Omnis doesn't really do a lot of the Shatterpoint podcasts anymore, but even or is MCP one, which Omnis, I don't know if you listen or not, but if I hope so one day you come back to us and give us your sultry voice that we love to hear. But um, one of the things that he was a proponent of was more a WTC style of play where basically it's 3 players, you each have your own squad, and then you each play against, or I should say strike force, and then the other you each, and then 3 other people bring their squads, and it's basically whoever the 2 people that win against it's like best 2 out of 3 for your entire team type of a thing, and you like kind of like randomly select who you play against and everything along those lines. There's like a game within a game of figuring out your matchups and everything, which is interesting. um the harder part of that, like in MCP, you basically can't share any type of units, like your any no models could be on the same list twice, basically. Like, so if I'm playing Captain America, you can't play Captain America type of a thing. I don't know how that, I mean, we're getting close to having enough models in the game where you probably could get away with that, where like not everybody cares, because that would almost be kind of interesting, because it's like only one person can bring Jango Fett, only one person can bring, like only one person can bring OB2, so only one person can bring the Magna Guard. I mean, so there's still like a lot of thought in this. Is like, I don't know if we are going to go that route. I mean, there's plenty of time to change up if we wanted to, I guess. But there is going to be
And
a team event, but I think it's going to be the 2v2 to start with this time.
ba- baby steps, Todd. It's all right. I know I'm usually the one going off in an orbit, and Todd's bringing me back. It's all right, everybody. I'll reel him back in. There's always next year. There's always next year, because remember, by the time LVO rolls around the following year, we will have the Spectres, we will have Thrawn, we'll have General Veers, we'll have we're gonna have a lot more to choose from in 2026.
But I think the
So
Spectres will still be out by then. I think a lot of other stuff will be released. That's kind of what, like, where I'm going with that, is like the Spectres will be out.
they're out, but will everybody have the reps and have them painted? And I think emulation is the best way to go with our first year, and then we can start experimenting after that. But it's all right. It's all right, everybody. Mom and Dad will figure this out later.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think we're pretty much set on what it's going to be. It's just one of those where it's like, man, this would be cool. Yes, this would be cool. So I think more along the lines of just like ideas of what I think would be fun to engage in, as far as like, and different variations that we can put on it. I mean, like, looking at how the MCP side of it has grown, where like MCP has like, they have what's called their affiliation battle, they have their last chance qualifier, they have the main event, they have the team event, um they have the timelines event. Then they also have just regular 8-player scrambles. Timelines.
What's a timelines event, Todd?
So timelines is a whole different thing. So like within Atomic Mass Games, their timeline event, basically they have a cultivated list of characters that are from a specific timeline, and you can only play characters from that list. I mean, you could do something like that where it's only like you can only play an era's team or something like that. So everybody on your team has to only have one era or something along those lines. They could do something similar to that, I think, but it's interesting. So it's like but it's a cultivated list of and that only you can play. It's something they just created. It's really interesting because it's kind of like a limited model pool. So like you can't like all of the best stuff doesn't get to get played basically. So it's makes it a little bit more challenging, but it's fun. So I mean, um but that's like I said, we're kind of where MCP has grown to, and hopefully we'll be able to grow to that point at some point in time where like it gets big enough to where everybody, we're able to sit there and have multiple events and it becomes like because I think what MCP I think is like at 160 tickets or something like that. So like there's just a lot because there's so so many different events. Like you have your main event with the 64 player invitational, but there's just so much other stuff going on. So it's we hopefully we'll get there. I think, but like I said, this is a brand new game, and we're still taking our first steps with it all.
Yeah. Again, remember, there's what, almost 30 different games here, at least 20, because I'm looking at the page. There's at least over 20 games that are going to be there. There's going to be hobby classes, there's going to be cosplayers, there's going to be scavenger hunt. Like, I mean, there's so much that you want to check out. You're going to want to give yourself some
And some
time to just wander around.
yeah, and there's definitely games like games that are just getting created. There's people doing demos of their games and stuff like that. There's people that do like make models if you're just into the painting side of it, where you can just buy models to paint. So I mean there's all sorts of stuff that's going on over there. I know, like, I don't think we're planning on doing any type of a painting competition or anything like that, but I know on the MCP side, Tyson does like kind of oversee the MCP painting competition. I mean, that's something I mean we can probably talk about with him, is just maybe like a squad painting competition. I don't know like how that will play out, but I mean there's other things like that, and it's like if like anybody that's interested in stuff like that. I mean, if you have thoughts, I mean, definitely join our Discord, leave us some thoughts on that, and let us know what you think and everything like that. If you're watching this on Discord, like, or not on Discord, on YouTube, leave a comment. Hey, what have you guys thought about this? I mean, there's going to be things that we haven't thought about that other people in the community might want to see, and we can, and any feedback that people want to give, we'll definitely be there to listen to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But again, LVO's gonna be fun. There's gonna be Shatterpoint there. We have these events planned. Come to Vegas, have some fun. Don't go too crazy though if you're gonna make it into top 8 on Sunday though. Like,
Yeah,
have an easy
it's a
night.
good
Have
time
an
though.
easy Saturday night.
LVO, I mean, if you haven't been to Adepticon or LVO before, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a fun time just hanging out with players, playing games, meeting people. Like I said, I can't say it enough how enjoyable it is just to sit there and hang out with people and meet people. But yeah, I think that kind of covers everything that we wanted to discuss today about the about LVO and everything along those lines. So basically, if you guys do want to support the podcast, though, please go ahead and just rate, review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. I think I said that right. Podcast platform you are listening to us on. If you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment, like, subscribe, all those good little buttons that you get to press and tell you like things about us that you like us and stuff. We do appreciate it. And as always, if you want to help support in a different way, you can always become a patron for as little as $1 a month. That does help support us, helps us pay the bills, and keep everything going so that we can sit there and provide content at least a above average level, I guess. So we
Hey,
do
hey, we're
hope
working
that,
on it.
yeah.
We're
So,
working on it. And remember,
but
we
if
have a
you
new we have a new patron too, right? Somebody just signed up,
did somebody
didn't
just
they?
no, that wasn't a patron. That was just Joey joining our Discord. I don't
Oh,
believe
all right. Well, any event, if I'm right or wrong, either way, thank you all. If you told me I would have patrons, I'm like, have you seen me? Like, I just have silly hats and talk about lightsabers.
Oh no, I take that back. Michael and Connor. Let's see. Oh no, Connor is still there, but Michael has become a scoundrel as well. So Michael, thank you very much for becoming a patron. That was just today. He became a patron to us. So thank you very much for becoming a patron, Michael. We do appreciate you becoming one of the scoundrels of the struggle. So yes, as always, definitely want to thank all of our patrons though for everything that they do and for all of the support that they give us. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
other
Thank
than
you so much.
Yeah, but other than that, I do want to thank each and every one of you for listening. We do appreciate all of you guys for listening and letting us know that, you know, you enjoy actually hearing the ramblings of Aubrey and I from time to time. So we do appreciate you. And as always, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.